Hello, welcome to Hamline Church. My name is Heather Grantham. I'm the Associate Minister for Spiritual Formation here, and I'm so happy and feel so blessed to be worshiping with you today on this fourth Sunday of Advent. Please let us know that you are worshiping with us by filling out our digital connection card or by saying in the comments, passing the peace of Christ through the comments by letting us know that you are here. You can also feel free to share this video on your timeline and wherever you are so that others can join you in worshiping today. Friends, today's service is also our Blue Christmas service, in addition to our fourth Sunday of Advent. The Blue Christmas, or longest night service, is traditionally held on or near the winter solstice, which here in our northern hemisphere is the longest night of the year and the shortest day of the year. In our worship today, we open up to the space and acknowledge that for many of us, grief is a very real part of our holiday experience, especially this year amidst the pandemic and its impact on all of our lives. And so, we gather here in a protective shelter of God's healing love to find comfort for the aches of our heart. We are free to pour out our grief here in this space, to release our anger, to face our emptiness, to feel our hurt, knowing that through it all, God loves us and God is with us, our Emmanuel. And so we can look forward together in hope that the light of the world is emerging from the gestational darkness. And so, friends, let us worship together. Let us worship together first by lighting our Advent candle from our wonderful care team. Thank you for being here today.
We light our first candle, a single light that the deepest darkness cannot conquer, small and insignificant, yet a sign of hope.
Let it speak to us of the tiny flame of hope buried within us, the stubborn little light that refuses to be extinguished by all that life has thrown at it.
Prepare the way for hope with courage. May hope be birthed among, within, and through us this Advent. O come, Emmanuel.
Joe.
I'm sorry. We light our second candle, we light our second candle, a companion to the first, equally small, equally insignificant, but witnessing to hope that another light brings.
Let it speak to us of the light from companionship of our families, our friends, and of strangers, of kindnesses found in unexpected places that restore our hope in human nature.
Prepare the way for peace with justice. May peace be birthed among, within, and through us this Advent. O come, Emmanuel.
We light our third candle, recalling nights of watching and waiting, anxious nights without sleep, when dawn seemed to ebb further from the horizon and hope seemed forlorn.
Let it speak to us of the sureness of morning, of the passing of darkness of suffering, and the promise of an eternal sunshine dawning for those we have loved and lost. Let it speak of the light dawning too for us, though we may yet be in that darkest hour before the dawn.
Prepare the way for joy with sorrow. May joy be birthed among, within, and through us this Advent. O come, Emmanuel.
We light our fourth candle, marking the closing of the Advent season and the immediacy of Christmas. It is a time of peace and joy we may not ourselves be able to welcome, as our spirits dwell in dark and winteriness.
Let it speak to us of love, of being together in this worship for healing and wholeness, of our companionship through this longest night that is to come at the turning of the year. Let it speak of faith, that we and those we have loved and lost are held eternally in the hand of the one who brought light into being and who knows each one of us by name.
Prepare the way for love enfleshed. May love be birthed among, within, and through us this Advent. O come, Emmanuel. Thank you so much, musicians, for that wonderful rendition of O come, Emmanuel. Now today, for our message for the young folks and the young at heart, I'm hoping that you all can indulge me to put on my amateur astronomer hat. Now, I know many of the folks in our congregation are also amateur astronomers and look to the night sky to find stars and other type of anomalies. And we are so excited, those of us who look at the sky, because tomorrow night, so for the past 2 weeks, we've been watching something occur. The planet Jupiter has been approaching the planet Saturn in our night sky. Tomorrow night, Monday night around 5 p.m., Jupiter and Saturn will be right on top of each other. And it will look like a bright star right in the southwest corner of the sky. The light will look like a second moon there. Jupiter and Saturn approaching each other hasn't been this close since 800 years. The last people who looked at the night sky and saw something similar to what we will see tomorrow night and are seeing right now lived 800 years ago, lived in the Middle Ages. How cool is it to be connected through time and space through a cosmic event like that? What's even cooler about this is that biblical scholars and actual professional astronomers have hypothesized that this very event that we are witnessing of Jupiter approaching Saturn in the southwest sky over the constellation of Aries, that will culminate tomorrow night with this bright light in the sky, is exactly what the wise ones saw that directed them to Bethlehem and to Jesus. What we call the Star of Bethlehem in our Christmas story. Now, I will be watching tomorrow night, and I anticipate feeling very special and very connected to this part of the Christmas story. And I don't know for certain what I will see will be exactly what the wise ones saw or what Mary and Joseph saw over the head of their newborn baby, but I will take a breath and let God fill me in that moment. I will be open to what God is showing me in the darkest night of the year, this winter solstice. God has showed the planets aligning in this year of 2020 to show us that the light is here, that love is here, and that God is still working even when things seem the darkest, and even in this year 2020. And so I hope you join me tomorrow night around 5 p.m. and have your parents post in the Facebook event or the Facebook group. And I hope you will look to the southwestern part of the sky and offer a prayer of hope. So why don't you pray with me now, please? Repeat after me prayer. Dear God, thank you for stars, and thank you for planetary alignments, and for the light in the darkness. Amen and amen.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind may
creator of all that is good, bringer of light, giver of hope. Wonderful God that you are, today we come to you on the day before the winter solstice, which marks the shortest day of the year and subsequently the longest night. I know that many of us come before you feeling as if we have been walking through our own longest night. This year has brought so much weight crashing down onto our shoulders. So today, Lord, I pray for all of us who feel like we have been walking in the dark, all of us who have felt lost, all of us who have felt enormous anxiety at the uncertainty of the future, for each and every one of us who have felt the fear that the pandemic has brought. I pray for the immeasurable loss each of us has felt this year, for all of us who have experienced trauma, assault, loss of a relationship, loss of a loved one, hunger and poverty, in addition to the collective trauma of the COVID-19 pandemic. I pray for each of us who are missing and mourning normalcy. I pray for the parents mourning the loss of a typical school year for their child, for those parents who fear that their child's earliest memory will be of this pandemic. Lord, I pray for the 1,628,642 people who we have lost to COVID and the 1,000 more who we will lose each day. Lord, I pray that you will give us the humanity to remember that these numbers aren't just statistics, that each number was a person with a life as rich, intricate, nuanced, and complex as our own. Lord, give us the humanity to remember that, and then the grace and the goodness to continue to do what we can to help end this pandemic. Lord, I cannot encompass all this year has held for us in one simple prayer. I offer this moment to you of silence for us to offer up any grief not listed here. God, I pray that your comfort comes down over us. In the scriptures it is written, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness shall not overcome it." Lord, we know that you are a source of light for us, even in these dark times. There is truly nothing that can separate us from your light, for even in these times of darkness, we are connected with the people you have put in our lives. We are connected through technology, through our care for one another, and through that unbreakable bond of community. Lord, you have crafted us with a human spirit of perseverance and determination, of connection. Even in the dark, we can still see the light. You who created the wonders of heaven and earth, the majesty of the cosmos, the wonderfulness of the stars, and this beautiful planet, where we are never truly alone. As we stare down this solstice, let us not view it as just the longest night, but as a sign from you. A sign that while things may feel dark, the earth will continue spinning, and the next day will come. That this too shall pass. And until then, let us remember your presence, the light, using the words you gave us when you taught us to pray. Holy God, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Hello, my name is Teddy Faust. A reading from John and Matthew. A reading from John, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being? In him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. A reading from John, chapter 8, verse 12. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in the darkness, but will have the light of life. A reading from Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to you. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
One of my favorite Christmas songs is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It evokes the coziness of Christmas, a tight circle of loved ones who are near and dear to us and who have gathered around us. This song, it's like zooming in on one little group of people's Christmas celebration and imagining similar gatherings of loved ones everywhere else. The lyrics, through the years, we all will be together if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. But the thing is, if you listen closely, if you haven't already, the song has a slow, almost somber minor key tune with lyrics that don't quite fit. You see, the original version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was written for the World War II era musical Meet Me in St. Louis. It isn't quite as optimistic as the one we hear now. Look it up. It's actually is a bit depressing. The first line actually said, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas. It may be your last." Judy Garland first tweaked it a little, but still spoke of a gathering of faithful friends that lies in a possible future, not a cheery present. The first line became, "Someday soon we all will be together." But the end of the song somberly expressed the sentiment of the times. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. The story goes that apparently post-World War II, Frank Sinatra asked for happier lyrics and changed the ending. There is something meaningful about those original lyrics, if you think about it. And not just because the melancholy music needs melancholy lyrics, but because it perfectly captured a real moment in time. The mass experience of separation and uncertainty during an unprecedented global war. Muddling through was all most people could do. Today, we find ourselves in a Christmas season amid a massive social and economic disruption on a scale that has no parallel since Meet Me in St. Louis came out in 1944. The grief we carry in all its forms, as Emily and Heather spoke of earlier, this grief feels very heavy and very real. The grief is there on both a societal level from a pandemic that has taken over 300,000 American lives and sickened millions. Grief from economic upheaval and racial injustice and environmental disasters. On a personal level, we grieve the loss of loved ones this year. We grieve that we can't gather with people as we usually would. We grieve traditions that will not go on as usual, and a loss of many of the things that have been a part of our normal. This pain and heartache, I want to assure you, this is okay to be feeling all of those feelings. That it is okay to lament together the grief that we hold. That it's true, and that it's real, and that it's raw, and that we don't need to rewrite the lyrics to try to gloss things over. And yet there is reason to hope. In the Gospel of John, we find a Christmas story like no other. If Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas zooms in on perhaps idealized, cozy little Christmas, the prologue of John zooms out to Christmas on the huge cosmic level with ramifications for the entire world. We have been talking about the Incarnation this Advent, and I think perhaps the understanding of the Incarnation that comes to us from the Gospel of John is the most relatable to me. Yes, it zooms out and it's more abstract, and it is, in fact, of course, the most mysterious. But somehow it gets what the essence of what the Incarnation is all about. It addresses the desire we have to grow close enough to the holy and have the holy grow close enough to us that we actually know each other. It's this desire we have as seekers searching for a deeper understanding of the profound presence in the universe known by many names: God, love, the ground of our being. It's that desire we have for a deeper sense of ourselves and others, a way for us to live as humans here on this planet in personal and powerful connection to each other and to some astounding power beyond us. And this year, we perhaps are feeling this desire even more acutely. We are feeling this yearning even more strongly amidst the grief of our very blue Christmas. You see, the Gospel of John is the only Christmas story in the Gospels that does not have a birth narrative. John instead starts way back at the beginning of creation, quickly but poetically telling us of the birth of all things from the source of light and life, the Word of God. With this zooming out, John opens the door for us to think broadly about Christmas. The Word became flesh and lived among us. The Word is not simply the baby Jesus, cute and cuddly. The Word is the animating principle of the universe, the founding reason of all things. The Word made flesh is light that cannot be overcome by darkness. The Word made flesh is love itself. Now, many times this story gets told in a way that sets up Jesus as a repairman of sorts. The Reverend Jeff Martin Hawk describes it like this: God made the world. God said it was good. People, more specifically Adam and Eve, screwed everything up. We had a real mess on our hands. But never fear, God loves us, so God sent a handy repairman, Jesus, to the rescue. The only way to fix it was from the inside, and so God's only Son became human to take on all the brokenness and save us from ourselves. We celebrate the gift of God's repairman, Jesus, at Christmas time because he will save us from ourselves. Now, there is nothing wrong with this account. It is a story that has been told by generations, and there is truth to be had in it. But in John's prologue, there is another perspective. God made the world and imbibed it with love and light. The love that God put into creation was so powerful that love itself became human. Love became human for this reason alone, because God is love. God is love, and that's what love does. Love itself into relationship. The Incarnation is about God deciding to become flesh in order to fully know our pain, our grief, our heartache, our fear, our hopes, and our joys. Then, and in that way, to be embodied relationship with us in the form of love. You see, once we grasp that God can dwell within a body, within Mary's body, and then within that of a boy and a man named Jesus, then God can be within my body and yours too. That's why some of us as Christians, we have no problem saying that Jesus was the Son of God, so long as we say that all of us are or can be children of God. You see, that there is the spark of the divine within each of us. And that divine spark, that holy light, let me assure you, is a force that casts out darkness, but yet the darkness does not compel God to act, does not have control over God, nor require that God fix us. The force does not ignore our grief, our hurt, and brokenness. It stands with us in the valley of the shadow of death and does not abandon us. And it loves us, even when we can't see any light at all, and we believe that the darkness has overcome. Friends, I know that it may feel like your spark, your divine light has been diminishing this year. Or perhaps it may even feel like it has gone out completely. Perhaps we are all sort of feeling like the muddling through version of the song this Christmas. But I want to assure you that your divine spark, the holiness incarnate in you, the divine connection, that inner peace, that deep knowing, that spark does not go out. It has always been there, and it is still there now, and it will always be there. Right now, friends, in these few remaining days before Christmas, let yourself rekindle that spark. Let yourself rekindle that spark by allowing yourself to be drawn to the light within you, in those still, quiet places of your soul, the small touches of inner peace that we feel. And also allow yourself to be drawn to the light in the world around us. The twinkle of Christmas lights, the card from an old friend, the kindness of strangers, and yes, the arrival of the vaccine. And friends, if you need a little help this year, finding that spark, this year of all years, for the star of Bethlehem to appear on the solstice, if that isn't a sign of assurance that God is with us, the star of Bethlehem coming to us on the darkest, longest night of the year, how much more like John's cosmic zoom out on Christmas can you get? This assurance that light always shines in the darkness and that hope is on the horizon, this message that love always wins, is here for us. So tonight or tomorrow night, as Heather said, go and look for that planetary alignment in the southwest sky and let your inner spark be pulled to that light. Let it be a part of the rekindling of the divine light within you, knowing that this very light has been a force pulling us to God's love for generations. Now, I'm not an expert at all in astronomy or physics or math or all of the other reasons for this alignment. But what I do know is that with the light of that star, God once again seeks to point us to love incarnate. That love that came down on Christmas and the love that is God, that is embodied in each and every one of us. And we can find it within us and among us in the world today. And as your divine spark begins to grow brighter, may you look to brighten the spark of others. May the muddling through of this year be illuminated by the cosmic pull of the Word who lives among us and calls us into relationship with one another. It calls us to the work of kingdom building for each other. Jesus said, "I am the light of the world," but he also told his disciples, "You together are the light of the world." The Incarnation is the surest sign of all that we have. This Incarnation is the surest sign of all that we have a God that longs for us to engage deeply with the world. Proven in God's own engagement with the world by becoming flesh in Jesus the Christ and dwelling in each of us this day. So, my friends, let the divine spark shine. This and every day of your incarnation with Christ. Breathe and know that you are beloved of God. And shine your light to the whole of creation, singing out to the heavens in delight for the one who brings the light among us to spread love, joy, and peace. Thanks be to God. Amen.
We come now to the time in our service where we make an offering of ourselves, our gifts, our resources, our time, and our talents to the work of God in this world. One of the ways that we do that is through our financial support of the mission and ministry of Hamline Church in our community and beyond. We invite you to give as you are able, knowing that these are challenging economic times. The finance folks would also love to remind you that we are coming to the end of our financial year and to remind you to submit your offerings as you are able to complete pledges for this year and to help us to fulfill our budget obligations as we wrap up this year as well. We were running just a little behind for October and November, and so we hope to make that up in December and invite you to Give generously as you are called upon to do and as you are able. There are 3 ways to give. You can give online at hamlinchurch.org/give. You can give by text or by mail. Thank you for your continued support and generosity. Friends, as we wrap up today, my thanks to everyone who was a part of putting this service together, and thanks to you for joining in and worshiping with us. Just a couple of notes about our Christmas Eve experience coming up this week on Thursday. Now, yes, Christmas will be different than usual, and we won't be gathered here in this space, but we have been working hard to put together a very special Christmas Eve experience, and I hope that you can be a part of it. First, on Thursday night at 4:30, from 4:30 to 5:30, we're going to have a drive-through Luminary event. You are invited to come to church in your car, wearing your mask, and drive down Asbury and then turn east on Englewood. And there in the front of the church, we will have luminaries as well as a special luminary blessing bag for you. Heather and I will be on hand to hand those out. And the bags also contain the much beloved individual candles that we use for the singing of Silent Night. So you can take those home and use those in your worship experience later when we gather at 7 p.m. for our Christmas Eve service. As part of the Luminary drive-thru, we will also have musicians on the front steps to bring you a little Christmas cheer. So friends, I hope that you will come out and we can greet one another, even in these pandemic times, with a little Christmas cheer. And then once again, tune in at 7 p.m. for our Christmas Eve worship service. The Prelude music will begin at 6:40, as is our tradition, with some very special music from our very own Hamline Church musicians to help to get us in the Christmas spirit. And then the worship service begins at 7. This year, our Christmas Eve offering benefits our ministry partners through Loaves and Fishes and our meal service at Dorothy Day, as well as our COVID Relief Fund. You can bring your offerings to the church when you come through for the drive-thru, or you can send them in as you normally would. I hope to see many of you on Christmas Eve, perhaps here at the drive-thru or online, and let us know that we are together in the spirit, and certainly 2020 will be a Christmas to remember. Now, friends, go from this day with your divine spark, perhaps slightly more illuminated than it was earlier. Take that divine spark and connect it to the light of the world, to the light that is love, that is within each of us, that calls us into relationship with one another, and that inspires us to work to build the kingdom of God here and now, so that we might all know a world of justice, of peace, of love and joy, just as God called for it to be. Friends, go in peace to love and serve our God. Thanks be to God. Amen.
The postlude is from Handel's Messiah. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. Come ye that labor and are heavy laden, and ye shall find rest unto your souls.